Hi y'all, welcome back to Regina's Crafting and More. I'm Regina. I'm doing this from my computer because I did not stitch this. I had two different people do test stitching for me. So I'm going to do a little video that kind of explains everything. So this design is available in limited sizes, especially in the portrait mode here. Because of their length, mainly. This is a 5x7 design. It is 4.83 inches wide by 6.97 inches tall. All right. This part is all applique. However, if you don't want to actually put any applique and you just want to use your t-shirt or whatever fabric you're stitching on, you can just stitch the satin stitching. I have provided okay, well, it's closed. I've provided an instruction sheet on how to do this applique. This is your placement stitch. Pink for me on applique is the placement stitch is always pink. The tack down, which is after you put your fabric down on top of the placement stitch, the tack down is always in blue. After you do your tack down, you trim your fabric away from the lines, and then you do your satin stitching, and that covers up your raw edges. Okay, so on this one you actually have two different placement lines, tack downs, and satin stitching, because this only does the red section. This step, and this step, it just does the red section, and then this 4, 5, and 6, it does the blue sections. All right. So one of the things is I've done this, provided the designs in portrait orientation this way, and in landscape. So some of the designs will have a P after them, some of them will have an L after them, but they're all the same. This one, let me see if I can see. Okay, so this one down here at the bottom of my screen, it is 6 inches wide by 5 inches tall. All right. Let me show you the finished designs. So Crystal tested this. She did a reverse applique on it, on her shirt. And this is, I think she used the 7x12 design on her shirt. And then, okay, so I'll get to Janie's in just a second. All right, so let me just kind of show you. I'll go through this semi-slow. So it's going to do the placement stitch, which would stitch on top of your stabilizer. Okay, you don't have any fabric down at this point. This all stitches on top of your stabilizer. So now you would put your fabric on top of this, and then color stop 2 is going to stitch and tack down that fabric. Okay, it'll go all the way through. And this is on every applique. I have the same process. Okay, after it does the tack down, you're going to go through and you're going to trim your fabric back to the line on all these pieces, all the way back to the line. And then after it's done, you put your hoop back on, and it's going to stitch the satin stitching all the way around all the letters. So make sure that you trim your fabric very, very, very close to the line, so that none of it's sticking outside of, oops, stop, back up, Regina. Okay, so that no fabric is sticking out from the satin stitching. So once you've done that and you've stitched your satin stitching, then it's going to go to color stop 1, 2, 3, probably color stop 4, I think. Let me switch over to this one. This one, yeah, I think it's color stop number 4 on this one, because I used different blues on there. All right, so then it tacks down the blue. It goes through the I'm going to back up. So it goes through the placement stitching. Let me back up. So it goes through the placement stitching. Sorry about that. On each letter. Okay. You're going to put your fabric down. It tacks it down. You're going to trim your fabric for these pieces. Now on this one, really whenever you trim the fabric, you just need to trim around this way. You don't need to trim on this side of this little opening. So trim here, here, come out here, trim, and trim up. All right, and then it's going to do your satin stitching. All right, on all 3 letters. And then it just finishes the rest of the design, which I'm going to let it go real fast. Okay, so let me stop that. So remember the dimensions on this one, and they're all pretty much the same, except the size is going to vary. But you've got your height and your width, and the width is 483 versus 697 on the height. So let me close this out so that I don't crash. So this is the landscape version. It'll have an L on the outside of it. And it goes through the same process. So it does the placement, the tack down, you trim your fabric, it does the satin stitching, and then it starts over with the placement lines here in a minute when it finishes the satin stitching. And remember, on this one, after it stitches the blue, you're just going to trim your fabric here, here, around here, like that. And then you want to try to trim right there. All right. And then it finishes the satin stitching. Then it does the placement for the blue sections, the tack down, then the satin stitching around those parts of the letters. And then it finishes the rest of the design. All right. So this one is 6.404 on the width and 5.01 on the height. And this is just the 5x7 sizes. All right. So let me close out this. Now on the fill design, this is Janie did the fill design. And there's no applique on this whatsoever. All right, I'm going to close this out. And here is the portrait version of it. And I'm going to let this stitch so you can see how it stitches. Okay. Let me see if I speed this up a little bit. I don't want y'all getting dizzy on me. So we'll just let it go like that. Okay, so let me back up because I did want you to see on this white section, and I'm going to zoom in. Okay, so on the white section, it does, fiddly-dee. Let me scroll over. So it does have running stitches so that you're not stopping and cutting and starting and stopping and cutting and starting. So it's got a running stitch that goes down and keeps that from happening. Okay, on all the white section. I'm going to spin it out and I'm going to go full screen again. All right. And then it'll do the red, I believe, yep. Now, this does not have satin stitching around it. The only time I do satin stitching, and I really hate doing it, is on the applique items. I don't like satin stitching because I've done it in the past and had the satin stitches get caught on something and pull, and it ruins the design. So I don't like to use satin stitching. All right, so that's how the USA in the fill design stitches. And then it'll come in and do the stars. And I'm going to, so it goes back and forth to hopefully eliminate some jump stitches for you. All right, and that's how that stitches. And once again, that is 4.72, $6.95. All right, so that's that one. And then here it is in the landscape mode. Stitches the same way. I'm just going to let it go. You see that the way that it stitches. Okay. And that's your number of stops, your sewing order. All right. And once again, this is the fill stitch, and then that's the fill stitch, and I showed you the applique. Let me bring the applique back up real quick. Sorry. Patriotic, in the USA, a long time ago. Applique. And there's the applique that Crystal did in reverse applique. All right, so I hope these will be posted on my in my Etsy shop, and I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Bye.